Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Giver Method channel. Now this channel is dedicated to topics that are all inside of my book, The Giver Method, and they're designed specifically to be topics that are applicable to you as a parent, or as an entrepreneur, or as someone who's working away 9 to 5, where you've got a lot on your plate, you've got things going on, but you want to find those ways to up-level yourself, to live a more fulfilled life, discover your gifts and superpowers, make a deeper impact, whatever that may look like. And so we're going to unpack some of those topics today, and you're always welcome to grab yourself a copy of the book. Now, my name is Jake, and today we're going to be talking about why you feel stuck, as you see others succeed, and then how you can actually break free of that, for good. How you can move past it. We'll be digging into something that is it's going to be draining the energy out of you and keeping you stuck on the sidelines, and it's this idea of comparison paralysis. And so let's ground this in a couple of questions. So let me start by asking you, when was the last time that you found yourself, just scrolling social media, and instead of feeling inspired, you ended up feeling more like you were behind, like you're trying to play catch up? Or when was the last time, someone else's big win, big success made you question your own journey? Maybe you felt some jealousy in there. Maybe it was that perfect family photo, or hey, they just hit 6 figures or 7 figures in their business announcement, or maybe it was a colleague posting that they just got some sort of big promotion. Okay, if you're a parent, maybe you're comparing your real life chaos to those curated highlight reels that you see of other parents. If you're an entrepreneur, watching others celebrate these milestones after a while where you've been on your own, progress feels like you just feel like your progress is invisible. Or maybe you're an employee wondering why you're still in the same spot while everyone else seems to be zooming ahead. Well, you're definitely not alone in any sort of way. And here's something that nobody really talks about. You're not stuck for reasons like being lazy or anything like that, or because you don't have enough talent or drive to go do it. You're stuck because your brain has been trained to see someone else's success as proof that you're not measuring up. It's designed to look at things through the lens of a threat. Instead of fueling your fire, these stories, they start to shut you down. Instead of seeing what's possible, you start collecting evidence that maybe you're already behind. And so I want to unpack that with you today and give you some really powerful ways that you can move past it. Like I said, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder, I'm the author of this book, The Giver Method, which is, it came out in November. Since coming out, it has been an Amazon bestseller. I highly recommend you get yourself a copy. You can get it on Amazon. There's a link down in the description where you can go get it. Or you can go to Amazon, look up The Giver Method by Jake Talbert. Get yourself a copy. It's the best $10 you can invest in yourself. I'd love for you to get yourself a copy before prices go up on it. But it's designed specifically for parents, entrepreneurs, people who are working 9 to 5 that are looking for those things we talked about. And what people love about it, the reason why it's sold thousands of copies and been a bestseller, and why there's so many 5-star reviews, is that people love the fact that in every single chapter, there are exercises, worksheets, action items that fit in their life that they can do to start making progress moving forward. And then everything's grounded in my story, which I am a parent. I've got 3 kids. I'm an entrepreneur. I've worked in the corporate 9 to 5 space. So everything that you're dealing with and experiencing, I've been down similar roads. And so I can relate the topics and the specific action items to where you're at in your life. So I highly recommend you go down the description. Maybe you want to pause the video, go get yourself a copy of the book. And that way you can start making progress in your own life. Now, like I said, this idea, what we're talking about today of feeling stuck, I know that firsthand. I also know what it feels like to feel totally derailed when I see other people's wins. See a fellow entrepreneur that they announce that big launch. I spend the next few days doubling down every strategy, trying to figure out what I can do. What do I need to do? Because this isn't working and that's not working, when maybe they really are working. Or I see parents, who are posting these perfect family adventures and wonder why. What about why I felt like I was barely holding everything together as a parent? Or I'd watch colleagues move up fast. I'd start spiraling whether I'd missed my chance or I'd done something wrong in some sort of a way. But here's what I discovered, and there's tons of science and research that backs this, which I love. I love in these videos and in the book doing tons of science and research backed information, so that way we know it's grounded in reality. The most successful and fulfilled people don't magically avoid comparison. They just learn how they can flip it. They turn that knee-jerk reaction from well, why not me, into well, what could I learn from that? They use other people's success as research for what's possible, not as a rule, a ruler to measure what their worth is right now. And so today I want to give you these 7 really practical strategies, like I said, that parents and entrepreneurs, everyday go-getters like yourself, are using to finally break out of this comparison trap and actually use it, use other success around them to fuel their own growth. Like, these aren't fluffy woo-woo mindset things, like, you know, any sort of just a hack or anything. Like, these are real tools that you can start using today. And the best part, once again, everything we talk about is tied to the book inside the Giver, like the things in the Giver method that shows you like the timeline you're going through, the messy process, the unexpected detours, like all these things you experience. They're not weaknesses. They're your edge. You know, when you stop trying to copy somebody else's highlight reel, start leaning into your own path, that's when your real superpowers, which we cover in the book, start to come up. So once again, if you want to dive deeper into that sort of thing, get yourself a copy of the Giver Method on Amazon. You can also check out thegivermethod.com, all sorts of free resources and other ways we help people. You can also check us out or follow us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those places. And then if you're like, you know what, I could use some personal support in this. I could use some help moving past these sort of things. Well, you know, if sometimes people just need that coach, that person in their corner cheering them on who has been in the same situation. And so I've opened up a few of my one-on-one coaching spots. I don't carry many one-on-one clients just because I try to maintain the balance of the life that I want. But I do have a couple open that, you know, if you're interested in something like that and you would want to move faster through the processes, then you'll find a link down below to the coaching page where you can check out more details about that. And then, of course, if you have a team, a podcast, an event, a mastermind, anything like that, where this message could just light your people up, well, then let's talk. Let's talk about how we could bring it to them. There's a link down below about speaking and podcasting. And of course, if this topic hits home for you today, then drop a comment along the way. What stood out to you? You know, what I love to read those and reply back to people. And of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications if you have not already. Wouldn't want you to miss out on any of the content I drop throughout the week. So let's dive in. Let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump in and talk about how you can stop letting other people's wins steal your confidence and start turning their successes into the roadmap for your own success in your own journey. So let's go. The first one is the first strategy is this idea of there's a curiosity conversion tool that you need. You know, rewiring your brain's automatic response to other people's success, because your brain has the threat detection problem. You know, we want to flip that, comparison into curiosity. You know, this is something that totally just flipped the script for me, and I think it could do the same for you. Your brain isn't trying to make you feel small when you see someone else winning. It's actually trying to keep you safe. Way back in the day, just think about it. If you got kicked out of the tribe, it literally meant you were in danger. So when someone else shines, your brain thinks uh-oh, am I about to lose my spot? And that's why we are seeing, why seeing somebody else's big moment doesn't just sting emotionally, but your brain reacts like it's an actual threat. But here's the thing, most people don't realize that reaction, it's automatic. It's not a sign of weakness or broken or anything like that. It's just a sign that you're a human. Crazy concept. The difference between the people who stay stuck in that comparison spiral and those who use others as fuel is the second group, they just learn how to catch the knee-jerk reaction and flip it into curiosity so they can learn more about it. So let's talk about how you do this. So the first thing is you have to start this catch and name it process, okay? Which is really important. Well, a lot of things we talk about is if you can't name it, you can't actually go do anything about it. And so the next time you see a success story, whether it's a coworker's promotion, a friend's perfect vacation photo, another entrepreneur posting about their success, just pause and notice your first feeling. Don't judge it. Just name it. Whoa, man, I just felt really jealous there, or man, I feel really behind. Just this tiny moment of awareness will break the old wiring a little bit and allow you to start finding the ways to put into programming. So then you can do this idea of there's a question flip you would look at. And the moment you catch yourself spiraling into that why them and not me or whatever, swap it for well, what could I learn from this? Rather than looking at it as you're missing something, it's well, I could learn something from this. There's an opportunity here. You're basically retraining your brain to go from threat to growth mode. And if you want to dig it, take it a little deeper, then you do this success study journal, where once a week you pick one success story that that usually would trip you up. But this time what you're gonna do is you want to study it like a detective. What's their real timeline? Not the highlight reel, not the simple videos you're seeing. What setbacks did they face? What help did they have? What was what can you take from this to make it your own and help put you further down the path as a part of that? Because when you shift from comparing to learning, you start seeing other success as proof of what's possible instead of proof you're behind. When you move from that why them to what can I learn, you stop playing small and you start building something that only you can create. And that's where the magic begins. That's what the world needs from you right now. And so our second strategy as we move on is first one, you got to name it. And then now we move into these other strategies. So once you've named it, you can work through it. The second one is there's a timeline reality and calibrating where you're at. So you have to understand there's a journey behind every success story. There are no overnight successes. That's an illusion. And so you have to do a reality check with the timeline. Because if we're real for a second, one of the biggest reasons you feel behind isn't because you're actually behind. It's because you're comparing your work in progress to somebody else's highlight reel, or where somebody else's work in progress is just they've been working at it longer. We see someone else announce their big, book deal, or that shiny new promotion, that perfect family photo. Our brain goes, dang, they must have cracked some sort of secret code. They figured it out, and I just can't figure that out myself. But the truth is, you're seeing the polished moment, not the messy years behind. You don't see the nights that they wanted to quit, the rejections, the pivots, the 47 photos that didn't make it to Instagram. When you compare your year 2 to their 7, right? You're gonna always feel behind. It's like judging the rough draft against somebody else's published book. It's not fair to you. And so what you want to do is we need to fix this. So we need to start by becoming a detective. We pick one success story that usually would get under our skin, the person who triggers that man, I'm so far behind feeling, and dig into it. Watch interviews, read the old blog posts, look at early projects, find setbacks, the timeline, the pivots, all the things. Almost every overnight success actually is years in the making, and then you create the real timeline of collection process, which is just a simple note on your phone or folder where you jot down what you find. Oh, she actually started this business 6 years ago and almost gave up twice, before it finally clicked in for them. Just seeing those stories, it's a collection that becomes your cheat sheet when you catch yourself spiraling. Oh, they went through struggles too, and they just had to figure it out as they went. And then next you develop this struggle seeking habit is what I call it. When you see someone else's win online, don't just soak in the applause. Ask what challenges did they face to get here? How long did it actually take? What are they showing you? You're retaining your basically we're retraining our brain to see the whole picture instead of just the shiny surface that we're being presented at that moment. Because when you see the real timeline, you stop thinking you're failing because the things they take time. You realize that sustainable and meaningful success isn't instant, but it's built slowly, and it's built through imperfect steps that you're gonna do. When you honor your actual place where you are and you give yourself permission to just keep going at the pace you're at, you stop asking why am I so slow, and you start being wow, this is exactly where I need to be. And that sort of a mindset, it keeps you moving forward when everyone else starts to get burnt out. And so then the third strategy is there's this input curation process, designing your information, the dieting off the things that you shouldn't be having. How do I find support rather than sabotage? How do I curate what I want to consume as much as possible? Because if we're honest here, what you feed your mind with is just as important as what you feed your body with. You wouldn't eat donuts for every meal and expect to feel strong and energized, right? Yeah, you might get some sugar highs, and that it might feel good when you're eating at that point, but at a certain point, it's going to break down. The same thing is true about your brain. When you scroll endless highlight reels, you binge hustle podcasts, you watch all these overnight success stories that on repeat that don't exist, then we wonder why we feel drained or stuck. Every piece of content you consume is either building up your confidence or quietly going to tear it down. And so this is mental junk food. Think of it that way. It tastes good for a second, but it leaves you feeling heavy and questioning your own progress. So start with this content check-in, where for the next week, after every piece of content you consume, social media, podcasts, videos, articles, whatever, ask yourself, did this make me feel inspired to take action, or did it just make me feel like I'm behind? And jot that down, write it down, put a note on your phone. You'll start to see patterns you didn't realize were there. Then you can go through the quick unfollow rule, where if a person or a page consistently makes you feel small or uninspired or anxious, unfollow them immediately. Don't overthink it. Imagine if you kept a friend around who was always making you doubt yourself. We wouldn't do that, right? And so the same goes for this. It's okay. You don't need to have all the followers and subscribers in the world. You can unfollow people, you can unfriend people, if that's what you need to clear out the things that are draining you. And then you want to build the go-to inspiration list. And so this is your stash of content that fires you up and makes you feel seen, pushes you to take action. It could be certain like creators who share the messy middle, entrepreneurs who talk about real timelines, the parents who show both like the wins and the chaos. Like you want to keep that list handy, just like when you need a lift. I've got one on my phone. And I every time I come across something that I want to remind myself of later, that's like, I'm like, oh, that's a good principle that I need to remember for myself, that when I need to be built up. I just have a note on my phone, and it gets so long. And sometimes it's just nice going back to those creators, seeing what they did, and then seeing what they've done recently, and kind of getting re-tapped into that world. Because like the environment, like your environment around you, it shapes you, whether you realize it or not. Studies, they show that people who intentionally curate what they're consuming feel way more confident and stay more motivated to like work on their goals and actually achieve them. But beyond that, like when you stop drowning in other people's highlight reels, you finally have the mental space to hear your own voice and trust your own ideas and focus on your path. So, when you clean up what you consume, you start building this inner environment where your gifts like and your timing can actually thrive moving forward. And that takes us to the fourth one, which is like there's this like unique advantage recognition. Transforming your perceived disadvantages into actually competitive assets, because like there's a hidden power. Like you are the only person that has the same combination of experiences, gifts, superpowers. Like you're the only person that has that combination. Your hidden power is like is the fact that you did a different path. So we're turning our differences into another superpower, because one of the biggest lies that comparison tells us is that like the path we're on is like different than theirs, so I'm at a disadvantage. Like, you look like a young entrepreneur who seems to have it all figured out. Like, I started late. I can't do it. You see the super organized parent and you think like I'm a mess in comparison to them. Or the coworker climbing the ladder and you feel like, man, I must be too slow. I'm not catching on. I missed something. But what if I told you like that what makes you different is your edge? Like quite honestly and seriously, like it is your edge. Your mix of experiences and timing and challenges isn't holding you back. It's what actually is going to make you unstoppable. Think about it. Like think about the parent who's balancing chaos every single day. They're basically getting a like masterclass in crisis management and patience. The entrepreneur who started like later in life, like they're bringing emotional intelligence and wisdom that no 20-something could ever fake. Or the employee who is like winding the career path, like they've got perspectives and skills from different fields that specialists never touch. And so this is what you want to do to start like getting deeper into this. Like you start this, like there's the advantage dig, where you grab a piece of paper and you're going to list out 3 things about your story that you usually see as like a setback of some kind. I'm too old. I can't get. I don't have big group of friends. I don't like whatever. Write them down. It could be late career switch, family responsibilities, non-traditional background, whatever. For each one, write down 3 unique strengths, like those experiences like have taught you or given you. And you're going to be amazed what shows up, like patience, resilience, creativity, cross-industry knowledge, empathy, things that no one else can copy. And then you want to start building out your superpower inventory. And if you need help with this one, like I'm going to cover some details, but this is very much where the Giver Method book is going to be a big help that you can get on Amazon. Instead of obsessing over what you lack compared to someone else, focus on what you've got already that they don't. Maybe those years of customer service gave you a sixth sense to read people. Maybe managing family budgets turned you into some sort of financial ninja. Maybe starting over multiple times has made you fearless in the face of uncertainty. And then you can practice like this idea of like having an advantage reminder, where anytime that you feel like that old, like I'm behind voice creeping in, pause and name one way that your unique path actually serves you. Keep these reminders somewhere where you can see them, like I said, on your phone or whatever, on bathroom mirror, on your laptop, whatever. Like it isn't about fluffing anything up. It's about seeing the truth, of what actually what you actually bring to the table. Because when you start seeing your path as a strength, you stop trying to win someone else's race. You start owning your own lane, and that's where you start to have these real breakthroughs. Your story isn't a disadvantage; it's actually your secret sauce. So lean into it, use it. When you really start to understand that, you stop apologizing for differences and you start using them to like really build something that only you can create, that the world needs right now. And then our fifth strategy is like there's the celebration first response training. So we have to rewire our brain to see other success as a community win, like going from a scarcity to like an abundance mindset. Because we talk about like it's going to hit all of us. It hits us at some point. There's that gut punch you feel when someone else wins something that you wanted. Your brain loves to jump straight to that scarcity mode, like, oh great, there's less room for me. less pieces of the puzzle. The truth is, like, life isn't a pizza with only 8 slices. Someone else getting like their slice doesn't mean that there's less for you. It means that there's more to go around. When somebody in your industry wins, they often create more buzz, more demand, more opportunities for everybody else. When a friend crushes it, it might be, open doors that you didn't even know were available. But your brain naturally sees it the other way. It's hardwired to protect you by scanning for the threats, and that's why why celebrating others can feel so hard sometimes. And so we want to start to flip this and change it. You want to train your brain to celebrate first, like automatically, before it has time to slip into that comparison mode. That's what. So we want to start this like immediate celebration mentality. When you see someone else share a win, don't wait. Drop a congrats. Give them a comment in their post. Text them. Record a video. Say it out loud. Like whatever. Say it out loud to yourself even. Like the magic is like in acting fast before your mind has a chance to start spiraling into that like why not me territory. And then next you want to try this like success gratitude statements. So like if a celebration feels tough, say something like, hey, I'm grateful. This shows me what's possible. Or like, hey, their win shows me there's room for all of us. Like you don't have to like fully feel it yet, but you're just rewiring your brain through the practice of it by saying it. And then keep a celebration win journal. Like write down the good things that happen when you support others. Maybe entrepreneur you cheered on like becomes a collaborator down the line. Maybe you feel lighter and more energized after genuinely celebrating someone else's big moment. Over time, you'll see the proof like that celebration builds bridges, not walls, and it gets you where you want to go faster. Because when you become a person who genuinely roots for others, you don't just attract more opportunities. You create an environment where wins feel inspired and instead of threatening. There's tons of info out there that shows that people who celebrate others actually build stronger networks and feel more satisfied with their own progress. When you lead with celebration, you turn your world into a place for possibility, for growth. Opportunities are all around you. You shift from there's not enough to like look what's possible for all of us. That's a huge mindset shift that really will start to create tons of momentum for you. Then, of course, we have the 6th one, which is like there's this authentic path compass. Creating your personal definition of success independent of any external validation. Like, stop borrowing other people's dreams. Define your own success. No more borrowing. Something that's sneaky that messes with so many of us is that borrowed dream mentality. And I'm sure you know what I mean. Like, those goals that you think you want just so you can keep seeing them because, you see them in a feed. Or hearing about them at work, you see someone celebrating this huge revenue milestone, or suddenly you think like, man, I guess like I need to want that too. Or the coworker chasing the titles and promotions, like maybe that's the only way I can win. Before you know it, you're chasing goals that you didn't even belong to you, like you don't even want. And you're wondering why you still feel empty when you get them. It's like wearing someone else's shoes and wondering why your feet hurt. And so you got to start to change that. You have to look at it differently. So start what I call like there's a values deep dive. Where before you set another goal or judge your progress, ask yourself, if no one else was watching at all, what would I actually want? If no one else was watching, if money wasn't a problem, time wasn't a problem, what would I do? What does a good day look like for me? What would make me feel proud when my head hits the pillow at night? And jot it down. Like there's no filter, there's no worrying if it sounds big enough for like Instagram or anything. Like just write it down. There's no wrong answer. And then, create your own personal success markers. These are the ways that you're going to measure progress that actually lights you up, not what the world tells you should matter. Maybe it's quality time with your kids every week. Maybe it's hours spent creating something instead of consuming, or feeling energized at the end of your workday. Like whatever they are, they're yours. Write them down, own them, remind yourself of them all the time. And then there's this like the check your compass mentality, which is anytime that you feel that twinge of comparison, stop for a second, pause and ask yourself like, wait, does that shiny achievement line up with what I truly want? Like, would I enjoy that if I even got it? 9 times out of 10, you'll realize like it wouldn't fit into your vision of what a great life is. There might be pieces of it, but like it's not going to line up perfectly. And that realization is like taking a big breath of fresh air that you can just relax. When you define success on your own terms, you stop feeling like you're running someone else's race. You get to cheer people on without feeling like their path is a threat to yours. When you set your own compass, you finally get to build the life that feels good from the inside out, not one that looks good on the outside, but honestly, like you're not feeling the freedom because you're stuck inside of someone else's bubble. And of course, that takes us to the 7th and last strategy, which is like there's a weekly perspective reset. There's regular practices that reconnect you with your unique journey. This weekly reset, like, it protects you from, like, protecting your perspective like a pro, really. Even when we know, like, comparison isn't helpful, it still sneaks in. It never goes away. Like, these are just tactics to catch it and move past it faster, but it will still keep showing up. And so you're going to start your week feeling good about your progress, and then by Friday, like, you're knee deep in everyone else's big wins and posts and wondering, like if you've done enough. It's like your perspective got slowly chipped away without you noticing. And so this is like this perspective erosion, like, it's sneaky. And here's the thing, like, you can't just, like, set it and forget it. When it comes to your mindset, like, your body needs regular workouts. Your confidence, your perspective need regular tune-ups too. So that's where, like, a weekly reset ritual comes in. This is your chance to reconnect with your path, your progress, and your wins, no matter how flashy or not, like, they might look to someone on Instagram or whatever. And so here's what you want to do. You start this weekly check-in where you pick a time each week. Maybe it's a Sunday evening or Friday after work, whatever it is. Sit down and list out 3 things you did that felt meaningful to you. Did you have that heart-to-heart with your kid? Or finish that tricky project, or protect your own energy from stress at work? Like, these are wins, whatever they may be. Write them down. And then you're going to create your growth where, this is your collection of proof of how far you've come, no matter how big or small. Maybe you handled a tough conversation with more grace than you would have a year ago. Maybe you finally set that boundary with a client. Maybe you feel clear about what you want. Like, keep those notes somewhere where you can easily look back and, like, when the comparison monster shows up, and be like, oh my gosh, look at how far I've come. It's going to fuel you to just keep moving forward. And then finally, there's, like, the future you letter, where, like, once a week, you write a quick note to yourself from the future, like your future self's perspective, someone who's already figured it out. And you just remind yourself, like, why the slow, steady progress matters. Say something like, hey, this patience you're building, like, right now, it's going to make a huge difference when you try to become an incredible leader. These small steps are stacking up to something big. Trust me, it's coming. Because when you, like, make that a habit to focus on your own progress, others' achievements stop feeling like threats. You start seeing them as just like other people's paths that they're on. When you start keeping track of your wins and reconnecting with, like, your future self every week, you build this real unshakable confidence, the kind of, like, comparison can never touch. And that's the kind of confidence that keeps you moving forward on your own terms, so you're in the right place at the right time. And so as we wrap this up, I want to leave this with you. Like, the people you admire the most, they aren't ones that magically never felt that pit of stomach feeling when they saw someone else's success. They're just the ones that have learned to flip that feeling and turn it from, like, the spark of, like, ugh, why not me, to, like, what could I learn from this? The 7 things we covered today, they aren't just quick fixes or woo-woo things to help people feel better, like when they scroll past someone's highlight reel. They're the foundation for a whole new way of seeing success, your own and everybody else's. And when you start meeting other people's wins with curiosity instead of self-doubt, you understand there are no overnight successes. They've got this messy human timeline. When you see a different path that you've been on as your superpower, all these things we've talked about, you don't just stop comparing, you start thriving. And the wild thing is, like, your sensitivity to other success, like, is it a weakness at all? It's actually a gift. It means that you care. It means that you're paying attention. Like, when you learn to direct that energy towards learning and inspiration instead of self-criticism, it's going to become one of your biggest advantages that you have. And I mean, I've seen this in my own life. I've seen it with plenty of parents and entrepreneurs and big-hearted leaders that I've worked with. Like, there's this idea that sustainable success doesn't come from mimicking someone else's journey. It comes from using their story as clues and building your own story one step at a time. Like, comparison triggers, like, they're going to come up, but they're not proof that you're behind. They're just proof that you're hungry, you want growth, and you're ready for something bigger. The problem is, like was never that you didn't care. You didn't care enough. It was like, it's that you let your brain convince you of someone else's win meant that you had a loss. So you flip the story from threat to possibility, from rivalry to research, from, like, it's not enough to I'm just getting started. And that's where your gifts will start to come alive. Listen, the versions, like, of success that you're meant, like, the version of success that you're meant for won't look exactly like everyone else's. It can't. There's no way. We all have different gifts and superpowers and experiences that we bring to the table. You've got different strengths and scars and timing. Like, and that's not something to hide. That's exactly what makes it so powerful. So here's your permission slip. Stop apologizing, like, for your different timeline. Stop shrinking because your path doesn't look like theirs. Stop holding back because you feel like you're behind. Instead, celebrate your own weird, beautiful, messy journey. You know, start using others' wins as inspiration for what's possible. Start using, like, and trusting that your way is like the way you're meant to build it forward. And if you wanted to dive deeper into these things, once again, that's where you can grab yourself a copy of the Giver Method on Amazon. The link is down in the description. It'll help you uncover your gifts and superpowers and come alive when you stop comparing and you start cheering. And if you're craving some of that personal, support, you want that person in your corner, you want to move faster through this process, then that's where I've got those one-on-one coaching spots that you can check out. The link down below, the coaching link. And of course, if you have a team, a podcast, mastermind, event gathering, where people get together, whatever, and your message like this or one of the other ones we cover could light them up, then let's connect, because I'd love to bring it to your people and provide them a really practical and real and energizing way to see things. So you'll find that link below. And of course, if anything, like if this video landed for you, drop a comment, tell me what it was. I'd love to hear what, what stuck with you as you went through that. And of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss out on any future content that I put out there. But just remember this, other people's success, it's not a measuring stick for your worth. It's a preview of what's possible. The world doesn't need a copy of others. It needs the first fully alive, fully expressed version of you. So with that, I'll say thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I cannot wait to see what you can create when you stop letting comparison hold you back and you start building a story that only you can tell. And so I will catch you in our next video. Have a great rest of your day.